sort of two thoughts. One is about realities and alternate realities. And I'll start there, which is just to say that one of the things that I've learned in the process of being involved in dialogue work and in any sort of bridge building work is this idea that there are multiple realities, or at the very least, many aspects to one large reality that contains lots of contradictions and paradoxes and realities that seem to negate one another. And I think that the more that we can recognize that, the more that we can use music in particular as a way of accessing, perhaps more softly, somebody else's reality rather than sort of confronting it head on in some sort of polemic, but maybe hearing their musical voice. That's a tool that we have to try to access different realities and to make our reality richer by virtue of understanding others and where they come from. Yes, thank you, Asa. Yeah, everyone should definitely please feel free to emote in the chat however you like, and really excited to hear what all of you have to say.
I have a question.
Resonates. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
How did you get all those amazing people to be on your video?
So those are all people whom we've gotten to collaborate with over the years. So everyone in that video has either made a video with us, performed with us, recorded with us, hosted us, or is just a friend somehow from somewhere around the world. But like both of the Hamilton actors we've performed with or gotten to be hosted actually on the set of Hamilton after the show on Broadway. Joanna, who was playing and Peggy at the time on Broadway, brought us backstage, and we got to sing for her. And Ari Afsar we performed with in LA on our last tour. And everyone else has some other kind of amazing story of how what we were doing just resonated deeply with them in a way that they wanted to be a part of. And I'm hoping that, that what we're showing and sharing today will hopefully resonate with all of you as well. And you'll want to be a part of it too. And there are definitely some folks on this chat who were in the video, and definite shout outs particularly to my family for their musical and many other gifts.
Mm-hmm.
But that was special to be able to find sort of what is a musical element that really makes you feel at home, that expresses this idea of creating a space for everyone. And then people just kind of responded in kind. So it was really nice to
Totally.
make. I'd love to share another song that I'll actually, most of what we're doing today, I'll be playing live, though some of the things from Jerusalem, obviously, since we don't have the chorus together in one place such that we can just perform for you, we have videos. But I wanted to share a song actually that I wrote in my senior year of high school. I had a chance to apprentice with Isai Barnwell, who runs Community Sings in the DC area and sang with Sweet Honey in the Rock for many years. And she's absolutely extraordinary and taught me how to spontaneously create choirs from groups of people who may think they cannot sing, like in the very moment. And also how to think about music and its purpose in society, particularly as a tool for change. And one of the song that I wrote at the culmination of this apprenticeship was a setting of Hine Matov that is very, very different than your normal Hine Matov Umanayim, right? That's a very, I would say, simplistic, it's a great song, and a very simplistic understanding of being together, right? Or appropriate for certain contexts, but not others, I'll say, right? In a context where everyone's friends and maybe had a little Manischewitz and whatever, and they're swaying and singing, it's perfect. That's not a time for things to be complicated. That's a time to feel good. And there are many contexts in which being together and brothers sitting together is actually extremely complicated and isn't that easy. And certainly I would say Jerusalem is one of those contexts. And so I like this Hine Matov, and it's one of the, and I brought it to the Jerusalem Youth Chorus as part of our repertoire because it actually is a much more complicated sound of coexistence, in the sense of, I mean, you'll hear there, but there are many different layers and many different types of expressions, and somehow finding a way to weave them all together to still create something that is harmonious. So I'll leave it at that. So here we go. Hine matov umanaim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanaim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanaim. So one of the things I'll be doing in this concert is a lot of circles, a lot of loops, things that come back on one another. So that's the first melody. Imagine that as sort of the first brother. Here's a little bass line. Hine matov, hine matov, hine matov, hine matov, matov, hine matov, hine matov, hine matov, matov. Then you've got the first the first idea here of the Shevet Achim, but how it sits in this strange rhythm. So you've got Shevet Achim gam yachad, 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 Shevet Achim gam yachad. And then you've got a whole other layer that just sits on top of it. And sometimes that's how to, this idea of sort of transcending all of the mechanics sometimes of things. Different layers, different types of experiences, different ways of accessing this idea of what togetherness can sound like, and then the second brother, if you will, comes in here. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim, shevet achim gam yachad. imagine if we're looking at the city of Jerusalem as a place where maybe someday people could find a way to live together. But look at all these different elements, right? It's not just a right? It's like everybody has their own facet. Everyone has their own role that they play. Everyone has their own access point to this idea, but together it creates this beautiful tapestry. To the two melodies, the two brothers, and see how they flow in and out of one another. And one is actually twice as long as the other, right? So sometimes some are taller, shorter, wiser, less apt for different circumstances, but we still find ways to intersect, hopefully, and creating beauty.
That was so brilliant, Mike. I absolutely love listening to that. I'm sure that everyone else did as well. Just to hear the way that you think about music and you think about the way that it interweaves with our lives, and imagining, I really could see the street of Yerushalayim and see all the different people with their different backgrounds and their different styles of dress, especially in Yerushalayim. There's like, people think that New York City is diverse, and the way that people dress, Yerushalayim is like 10 times more diverse.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. And I couldn't help but thinking, like, you come off to me as a little bit like a Jewish Bobby McFerrin. Like you seem like
goodness,
this.
Thank you.
You're like this guy who just brings music to the world and makes us all feel so inspired that that music can be a part of all of us, no matter what our background is. Like you said, no matter, like, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your time with Issei Barnwell and what it was like to work with her.
Sure, yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, so yeah, Dr. Barnwell taught me so many things, and really they intersected. There were tons of sort of just musical wisdom that I learned. So like how to think about creating these kinds of songs with all of these layers and how they intersect and the different rhythms and all of that. And also the whole idea of just music as a critical part of life and as a part of society, and as something like singing in particular is something that's almost like a human birthright. Just that everyone, particularly in our modern society and particularly in America, there's this sense that like, oh, well, if I'm not a professional, I just shouldn't sing, right? I'm supposed to listen. And I think that's toxic. Like, I think singing is something that is as natural to human beings as breathing. And once it becomes sort of only a commodity rather than just like an act of being human, we lose so much. And we lose so much in terms of our ability to connect with one another in natural ways. And our minds, our brains are actually hardwired evolutionarily to build community with those whom we're singing with. Right? Like, songs from the very beginning of human existence has been used as a way of making it clear that we are in this together. And that, I think, is also something that we have been struggling with, I'll say, as a country, as a world, this sense that actually we're all in this together. And so I think if we can rediscover a little bit of the lost art of musical connectivity and community building, and do so in an inclusive way, we've got a chance. So that's my answer to that. But certainly a lot of that comes from Dr. Barnwell's wisdom. I'd love to sing another song that's one of our favorites with the Jerusalem Youth Chorus. It's a song by David Broza and Saeed Murad, and it's called "In My Heart," and it's in Hebrew and Arabic. And one of the things that I love about this song is that the Arabic and the Hebrew are mirror images of each other. The words are literally mirror images of each other, and I think that's so powerful because the song is very deep and it talks about attachment to land, to place, to blood, to hearts, to bodies, in ways that are so traditionally acknowledged only in a one-sided forum. And so the idea that actually everything that I feel about this place, you also feel about this place, is a deeply, sadly transgressive concept in a lot of circles, and is something that is actually profoundly important if we're going to have any chance of figuring out how to share anything. And by anything, I mean like the future. We need to start by acknowledging that everybody feels this deep attachment and that yours is the same as mine. And so we sing In My Heart, Belibi, Fi Albi. אדם הוא בן אדם, וזמן הוא פסק זמן, בונה את עולמו, פורח בגנו. يبني عالمه يزرع ورد البستان بليبي بجوفي برוחי בחלקי ארצנו דמנו נפשנו חיינו עالمنا في جسدي في روحي في عقلي أرضنا أنت في دمي أنت في روحي أنت معي. أنت ملح البحر النور والحقيقة המלח והים הם את النور والحقيقة في السحو أو في السكر في عيوني إحساسي أنت حبيبتي האמת והאור מפוכח ושיכור בעיניי רגשותיי את אהבתי. And what we do often in the chorus when it's being sung by a group and not just me is we'll actually have two soloists have a musical dialogue with one another, bringing out what it really sounds like to listen. So I'm going to try to demonstrate a little bit of that, but again, with just myself, because here we are. جسدي في روحي في عقلي أرضنا أنت في دمي أنت في روحي أنت معي النور والحقيقة في الصحو أو في السكر في عيوني إحساسي أنت حبيبتي يا أمت והאור מפוכח הושיקו בעיניי רגשותיי את אהבתי אנתי חביבתי Yeah. Thank you, Rochelle. Yeah, no, it's an extraordinary song. And one that I feel is just so important. It's so, so, so important. This fundamental concept that, what I feel may be exactly the same as what you feel, even if it seems like there couldn't possibly be any way that we could both feel the same way from opposite sides of whatever this idea is. So the name of that song is called In My Heart. And I can actually, I'll throw a link to it. There's a nice recording of it on Spotify that we made with David Broza and Mira Awad and the Andalusian Orchestra from Ashkelon, which is an amazing, amazing recording here. I'm just going to throw it in the chat. So definitely check it out. I'd love to move to another Jerusalem Youth Chorus video, because there's just something that you can capture again when you have a group of people coming together, and also visual medium and a way of telling a story through images that I think is really important. And specifically, the next video that I'm going to be sharing with you is a mashup of two songs. One is Man Lehitorer, which is a hip-hop protest song by Hadag Nachash, and another from Hamilton, My Shot. And both songs talk about the idea of waking up and rising up. This idea that there are these stories maybe that we tell ourselves, or that other people tell us, or that are sort of the canonical stories, or the way that the world supposedly is. And then we need to wake up and see that that actually is a very small percentage of the totality of what actually exists, and that we need to wake up and see the world for what it is, not for necessarily just what we'd like it to be or what we were told it was. And then once we do that, we have a responsibility to take action, to hopefully move the world in a direction that is more in line with what we'd like it to be, but not be under any illusions that somehow we've already gotten there. And I think that is a really important concept, not just when thinking about Jerusalem, but particularly resonated given many of the events of this summer as it came to the situation of racial injustice that we have in the U.S. and many other situations where we really just have a lot of work to do. And so we felt a lot of resonance in Jerusalem as well. And so this is our homage to that.
כל מילה שמתקפת בדיוק כמה ואנחנו גם לא שמישהו עצמו שפרחו לא בעירה איפה שאנחנו מרגישים את זה
משתמשים בתשקורת בבית ולתכנך להבדיל לנו את השקר שנאמין שזה אמת הכל
אני מריח זה מסריח מהראש
שומרים לי תירגע
אז זה אצלם נחשוב
שמה שחשבתי הגיוני
לא הגיוני באמת
זה הספיק שמסית
מהאלף אל הבית
זה הזמן להתעורר, הבית מתפורר, נצא באחורים ביחד די להסתתר, תרימו את היד, תפתחו את הפה, מול כולנו את סיכוי שהם יחזיקו עוד הרבה, זה הזמן להתעורר, הבית מתפורר, נצא מאחורים ביחד די להסתתר, תרימו את היד, תפתחו את הפה, מול כולנו את סיכוי שהם יחזיקו עוד הרבה, זה הזמן להתעורר.
معي اصحى من سباتك وطلع على فوق القوة من بعض بناخدها بنجمعها والحياة عطول ماشي اسمعها انت قوي ما حدا بيقدر يوقفك بتفكر حدودك رح بتوقفك هيا شدنا هيا سدنا مرة كان صعب علينا نمشي بالشارع نطلع مع بعض سياسة واحزاب الدنيا ضلية تعبت وانا طالب لهيك احنا هون وصوتنا عالي لنفجر العالم قوة الاغاني
Imagine death so much it feels more like a memory. When's it gonna get me? In my sleep 7 feet ahead of me. If I see it coming, do I run or do I let it be? Is it like a beat without a melody? See, I never thought I'd live past 20. Where I come from, some get half as many. Ask anybody why we living fast and we laugh, reach for a flask. We have to make this moment last, that's plenty.
Scratch that, this is not a moment, it's the movement. We're all the hungriest brothers with something to prove. When foes oppose us, we taking on a stand. We roll like Moses, claiming a promised land. And if we win our independence, is that a guarantee of freedom for our descendants? Or will the blood we shed begin an endless cycle of vengeance and death with no defendants?
I know the action in the street is exciting, but Jesus is clean on the bleeding and fighting. I've been reading and writing. We need to handle our financial situation. I'm weighing nation mistakes with the state of the nation. I'm past patient, be waiting. I'm passionate, smashing every expectation, every action is not creation. I'm laughing in the face of college teacher sorrow. For the first time, I'm thinking past tomorrow.
And I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey, I'm just like my country and I'm stuck being hungry and I'm not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey, I'm just like my country and I'm stuck being hungry and I'm not throwing away my shot. Rise up when you're living on your knees, you rise up. Tell your brother that he's gotta rise up. Tell your sister that she's gotta rise up. Rise up, rise up. When you're living on your knees, you rise up. Tell your brother that he's gotta rise up. Tell your sister that she's gotta rise up. Rise up, I rise up. When you're living on your knees, I rise up. My shot, I'm just like the country, I'm such a she's gotta rise up.
There's money to it.
I'm not throwing away my shot. I'm not throwing away my shot. Hey, I'm
just remarkable, Micah. Like, really, I mean, I'm so touched that the power of this music that you share with us so far. It's really it's so uplifting. It's so inspiring, and it's good after a year of not being in that moment anymore. You know, like with the racial rise and everything happening. For you to like, I felt like I was right back in it. Thank you for that.
No, thank you, Asa. Yeah, I think music has a way of expressing and amplifying and connecting us with people and places and times and ideas and feelings that is unparalleled in its versatility and depth. And so I'm glad that it brought you back to that moment in a meaningful way. I want to play another song. This is an original one that I wrote, and the place that I was in when I wrote this song was right around Biden's inauguration, when at that point I felt not like a huge sense of jubilation, but almost like I could crawl out of an emotional bunker that I had sort of been in sort of the 4 years prior, and was just looking around for the first time, as if for the first time, at just like the desolation that had been left, and just thinking, oh my God, like, what do we do with this? And it was a really difficult and important process, and so this song comes from that time for me. What has my country become? What have we done to each other? Is this a land just for some? Or will we ever be brothers? Is there a future in our sights? Who decides? Who decides? What has this planet become? It's almost like we had planned it. Just who's we? Is it you and me? Or all we take for granted? Is there a future in our sights? Who decides? Gone are the days when things were simple. Gone are the days when things could be complicated. I was living my life, or was it a lie? Was it always this way? Depends on who you ask. depends on who you ask. What do we do with this life? What do we do with our power? Can we heal this world of strife? Perhaps in its final hour, is there a future in our sights? Who decides? Who decides?
So Micah, you said you wrote this right before the inauguration.
Yeah.
When you write these pieces like your Hine Matov and pieces like this, do they have a medium for you to immediately apply them to?
You mean like a
A
platform
vehicle?
or an ensemble or?
Yeah. What comes out of these creations?
Well, for Hine Matov, originally when I wrote it, I just taught it to groups of people, to sing it.
Cool.
Who decides? When I wrote it, I played it in a number of live Zoom concert settings and other events. I haven't had the time, or I haven't made the time to dive deep into the sort of Micah solo artist recording game, because I've been doing a lot of other work that I think, frankly, is more important. But it is good to have as an outlet and as a way that I can move people in a different way. But the next song that I'm excited to share with all of you is one that actually is on Spotify. I think it's the first song of mine that I put on whatever platforms, and it is Prayer for Healing, and it's a setting that I wrote in April of Ana Elna Refana La, this fundamental prayer for healing. And what I think has really resonated with me so deeply during this whole pandemic is just the myriad ways in which we need healing, in which we as individuals need healing, in which we as communities need healing, we as nations, we as a planet need healing, because so much is broken and so much is hurting. And so what I would ask for the folks who are here with us would be to write in the chat a specific prayer for healing that you have, something that you need to be healed. And that could be you, that could be a type of healing that we as a country need, a type of healing that the planet needs, a type of healing that the Beth El community needs, a type of healing just that you personally need. But just to share that in the chat, because I want to uplift that through this Ana Elna. So as I play it, feel free to please write in the chat. And it won't work if you don't, so I'm counting on you. Here we go. Ana Elna Refana isolation and loneliness and loneliness and loneliness and loneliness. Open my lips to we need understanding of each other, of each other, of each other. Understanding, understanding of each other, of each other. And treat each other. So many things are broken, are broken. Can we find a way to fix them? If you lead us from fear to safety, to safety. We may be afraid, even though we may be afraid, that not motivate us to hurt more the world. May we and it all comes pouring back. These are all of your prayers, all the things that we all need so deeply. Thank you.
The question from Michael.
Yes, please. Let me see if I can see it. Michael, I don't know what's possible in this setup, but is there a way for you to ask your question, Michael?
Talking permitted. No, it was an accident. Lovely music.
Thank you. I want to honor everybody's time, particularly on this gorgeous afternoon. And I do just want to to end, there was a request to put some more information about the Jerusalem Youth Chorus and a link in the chat. I'm going to throw our website into the chat. It's jerusalemyouthchorus.org. And specifically, what would be a tremendous support to us in order to be able to continue doing this work would be if you are moved to check out our website, to see how you can get involved. There are many, many ways that we could use your support financially and otherwise, specifically as we're hoping to organize a big virtual gala concert in a month or two, really 2 months from now, as our singers this whole year have continued working together over Zoom, writing original songs individually and together. And this is an opportunity for us to put these songs out on this incredible big stage and hopefully have as big an impact with them as possible. So any way that you might want to be involved would be more than welcome. And feel free to get in touch. I'll throw my email here for anyone who doesn't have it. And I would love to continue to build this resonance in many, many ways as we go forward. And just thank you for spending this hour with me.
Does anyone have any questions? There is a function where we can promote or allow people to speak and ask questions. Does anyone have any questions or want to say anything before we say goodbye to Micah for today? See if anyone. While we're waiting for somebody to make up their mind, I just want to thank you so much for being here, Micah. It was unbelievable. It was really inspiring, and I got to spend more than a few minutes with you. I think sadly the last time I saw you might have been your dad's funeral at the shul.
Perhaps. Oh, you mean my grandfather's?
Your grandfather, excuse me.
Yeah,
grandfather. Like, did I miss that?
I was like, I don't think I was at that event. That didn't happen.
Excuse me. Yeah,
yes.
But yeah, Rochelle, absolutely. I feel like you made me feel so proud today to call you a son of Bethel, and we just I really felt like listening to your music, like it was embracing me. It was like actively embracing me as I listened to it. I'm sure a lot of people felt the same way, and it was just beautiful. It was just really so inspiring. And I know that we'll have a recording of this that we'll share with people, and I know that there will be a lot of people who are really inspired to hear your work. I'm sorry more people couldn't hear it today, but competing with the beautiful weather is
honestly,
challenging.
Yeah,
it is challenging.
That's why it's good that it was recorded. People can watch it on a rainy day.
I'm sure they will. And I hope people come and support your organization. I know your mom's still on. Was super excited for today. And I know she's your biggest fan. And I'm so proud of all the work that you do. And you really are an inspiration. I feel so privileged to have been a part of this and have brought you just for an hour into the community again. And who knows, maybe one day we can bring the Jerusalem Youth Chorus to Bethel. How cool would that be?
Love it. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Thank you.
U.S. tour.
Boom. Here we go.
Here we go.
Let's talk about it. Thanks, Asa.
All right, Micah. That's great. And so if no one has any other questions, thank you so much again for being here. And have a lovely rest of your day. Stay healthy.
You too.
Stay well. And we hope we'll see you in person sometime soon.
Let's do it. Can't wait.
All right,
Thanks
Micah.
very much for having me.
Take care.